It is Wednesday, October 17th, 2018. One of the monks has asked me to talk about the relationship of food to sex addiction, or PMO recovery. When I was 43 years old, in November of 97, I had been sexually sober, which means for me, no masturbation and no sex except in a committed monogamous relationship. I had been that way for 6 years. I read a book by Gandhi. He only wrote one book called My Experiments with Truth, and in it he talked about the relationship of food and sex. He spent the last 40 years of his life, even though he was legally married and had 4 children, being completely chaste, no sex with himself or anyone else, so that semen retention he could use to help save South Africa and later India. Okay? And it never dawned on me that there was a relationship between food and sex. It just never occurred to me. My tools had always been 12-step tools, strictly 12-step tools. If you go to the monk site right now and look at the pinned post at the very top, it says our view of recovery from PMO includes 3 things. One is traditional 12-step tools, which we talk about all the time there. The second is family of origin, that there's a reason you're a sex addict. So we look back at how you were raised and the dings and bruises and the cuts that you got emotionally and spiritually as you were growing up, because we all did as we grew up. That's the second thing. That's why you see days of healing, days of joy posted there every day in that little book that I post up there. But the third thing is the food, how it affects. So Gandhi didn't have a 12-step program. Psychotherapy had not reached India at that point in time. And so the only tools he had were fasting and choosing his food. And what he found was that fruit and nuts were the very best thing. He didn't eat meat, dairy, eggs, or wheat. And he tried not to cook his food. So he was a raw, and there was no such thing as chemicals back then. So everybody was organic. He was a raw organic vegan, which is what I do. Because he was smarter than me. And I just I find smart people try to do what they do. So what I find is, if I use food and I do it to comfort myself for very long, just within a couple of hours, my brain starts thinking, well, gosh, who wants food when you can have sex? And so if I don't watch my food, I'll move over to sex. And so so it's like a yellow light. It's a caution light to say, be careful. If you do this with your food, you're going to go over to sex addiction. I also find that if I've been acting out with masturbation or cheating on someone, I feel guilt and shame, and then I eat food to sate that guilt. So there's a definite relationship between sex and real recovery and with food. Now, what do I do with my food? Here's some of my food. I'm going to have 6 ounces of peche. This is also called bok choy. It's called Chinese cabbage. And this is what I'm going to have. And I'm going to have 2 ounces of raw organic almond butter. I will eat this, or 2 ounces of this and 6 ounces of a fruit 4 times in a day. And that's typically what I do 7 days a week of my life. I'm not rigid about it. Sometimes I'll go out to dinner, but generally speaking, 98% of the time, this is what I do. And it keeps the addiction at bay. It keeps it one step away. If I watch my food, then that keeps me from reaching out for other things. And that's the relationship that I use. It's just an addition. Now, it won't stop sex addiction. You can't stop sex addiction by just manipulating your food. It's not strong enough. But it is powerful enough to help. And for me, PMO is so powerful and so addictive that I'll use any tool I can. And if food is one of them, so be it. Now, for those of you who are really interested in this, and there are 216 of us as of this date on Monks, I have another secret site called Healthy Eating. If you want to see what I do and other people do, you just say, hey, add me to that site and we'll be glad to do it. So, bon appetit. We'll see you in the next video.